Hey everybody, Josh here. I just wanted to give a little preface to this video because it's going to be a little different and we're going to make some jokes. And I just want to make sure everybody knows that this comes from a place of love and appreciation because WebDM has taught Jake and I, and probably all of you, so much about how to make your tabletop RPGs so much better, how to make sure you get the most out of your games, how to be a better DM and a better player. And we appreciate you all so much, and we're so excited for this Kickstarter. And we just wanted to do everything we could to put the spotlight on you so that everyone would be able to see your amazing project and, just a way that we could say thank you for all the hard work you put in. So without further ado, enjoy the video.
Hey there, fellow gamers. We're so happy you landed with us today. So we won't be weird with our intro or waste your time. The product we're going to talk about today is going to make a world of difference in your TTRPG games. So buckle up, everyone, as we kickstart this video into high gear. How was that? That was good, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think you did great, Pruitt.
Because I like to get as many puns in one sentence as I can.
Yeah.
Worlds of WebDM Weird Wastelands is WebDM's first book, and it's live on Kickstarter now. It's an environment-based toolkit for DMs and players to give you everything you need to create player-driven 5e games in the fantasy post-apocalypse. We're introducing new support for wilderness exploration, giving you a complete class, the Scion, 12 new subclasses, tons of locations with maps, monsters, NPCs, adventure hooks, and hey, it's WebDM, so you know they're going to include some badass encounter tables and more. They're writing it exactly how they think a 5e book should be. Well organized, full of references, and their WebDM wisdom, with tips and support for how to make the content easily fit any 5e game and run the best games of your life. Back it on Kickstarter now. Link here and in the comments and description.
How's it going, everybody? I'm Jake, and this is Josh, and we're JNJtabletop, and we're talking about WebDM. Now, like Josh said in the very beginning of this video, their content, the lessons that they teach in their videos have had a very profound impact on how we play Dungeons and Dragons and other TTRPGs and the kinds of content that we make. We love you guys, and we want to share just how special they are with you, and also go over their Kickstarter, which opened up, I think it's got to be at least over a week now, maybe 2 weeks. They got a ton of fun stretch goals, which they're blowing right through, but they have a lot of value here, and they released a preview document that we're going to go over. This document includes a new Druid subclass for 5th edition called Circle of the Broken Land. We're going to go over a new monster called the Magicore, which is a low-level legendary monster, which is really exciting. They have a new location for adventuring in, the toxic alchemical Sump. And then also, they're introducing an entirely new class altogether, and they just released the first 5 levels of the Scion. So stick around, hit the subscribe button, the like button, all that fun stuff, and just discuss the Kickstarter with us, and we're going to have links to everything in the doobly-doo. Make sure you check that out. So, Josh, you want to get started?
All right, so first things first, we're going to talk about the new Druid subclass that they have. This one is really cool. It's called Circle of the Broken Land, and it's kind of an unlikely combination. It's almost like a barbarian styled Druid. I thought it was a really interesting concept.
This is a Druid that gets in there. They'll get their hands dirty. Like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
They're not mixing any words. Right on the front lines.
Yeah.
I think even could rival the Moon Druid as far as power level and exactly the kinds of ways you could use them. So this is an interesting one.
Yeah, I would very much like to see this one in action, and maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll make one and fight the monster that we'll talk about later in the place that we'll talk about later. That could be kind of cool. I don't know. Comment below if you want us to do that. So one of the really cool things about this is it's kind of like a subclass that lets you convert your wild shape into something that would be similar to like a barbarian's rage. But you have some interesting choices there, and it also grows with you as you level up. And that is called Primordial Fury. So starting at second level, you can enter a trance of primordial fury. As a bonus action, you could expend one use of wild shape to enter this trance, and you could choose one of the following benefits. So either you gain a bonus to your AC equal to your proficiency bonus. As a bonus action on each of your turns, you could make a single attack with the weapon you are holding as though you had taken the attack action. Or you can gain resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. Or you gain proficiency in constitution ability checks and saving throws. I love the options there. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I like anything with options, especially when it's something like this where it's not like, oh, you get primordial fury, you get to choose bonus to your AC and one other one, and that's what you're stuck with until you hit the level where you unlock a third one. It's like, no, whenever you use this, you get to choose which one. I love things like that.
Player options like that are great. And because it's on this last paragraph here, which I'll just read real quick, at higher levels, you can choose additional benefits when you enter your primordial fury. You know, at 6th level, you can choose 2 of those from that list. At 10th level, it's 3. And at 14th level, you get 4. So this is something that, I mean, this, like Josh says, this is going to grow with you. This is something that lets you basically rage. You don't have the same D12 hit die like a barbarian would, but at the same sense, you're still a primary spellcaster. So, I mean, that's there. I mean, I had already felt like druids are kind of like the ultimate Swiss Army knife. You need a tank, you could wild shape, you need to do control spells, all this stuff. This adds a dimension to them that did not exist before, and that is always something interesting when you're thinking of creating a subclass or a different flavor for, you know, a main class like that. So this is very interesting, and I want to see this in action too, because this feels very powerful to me, at least in the way I'm theory crafting how it would be used. So
Powerful but not overpowered, which is a fine line to dance. And most of the time, new stuff, and WebDM knows this just as well as we do, the new stuff is almost always more overpowered. That power creep is real. So it's cool to see new stuff come out that doesn't feel excessive.
So yeah, and then also at 2nd level, you get Survivalist's Cunning. Whenever you make an ability check or saving throw prompted by an environmental effect, you can roll a d4 and add that number rolled to the result. And this bonus die increases with you up to a d10 at 14th level. So this does not have any kind of a cap to it. This is not like, oh, you can do it once and then you have to take a short rest, or it's as many times as your proficiency modifier. This just is a thing for you. So if you're exploring an environment, add a d4 to those survival checks. You have to make a saving throw that was caused by the environment itself. And I think that's an important distinction to make here, because I don't think it's just like, oh, you have to make a saving throw for anything. It's like, well, no, the environment did something to you, and you know how to, you're just better at resisting those effects.
Yeah.
So, a very nice little tidbit to add to the subclass here.
It is. It is. Then at 6th level, you get elemental scouring.
Let us know in the comment section. Just type it out for us. We'll understand exactly how to say
Yeah,
it.
just type it out. I was thinking we were going to edit that part out, but that's more on brand. Please just spell out scouring in the comments so I know how to pronounce it. So starting at 6th level, the rage of the dying world flows through you to bring its wrath upon your enemies. When you hit a creature with a melee weapon attack, you can expend 1 spell slot to deal either acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage to the target, your choice, in addition to the weapon's damage. Extra damage is 2d8 for a 1st level slot, plus 1d8 for each spell level higher than 1st. What does that sound like to you, Mr. Jacoby?
Sounds like 2 things. It sounds like the Paladin Smite ability, and also like Chromatic Charge, the spell that I created for Ancient Relics and Evoke Your Religions that I put on the Eldritch Knight to mimic you know, like an arcane smite spell to add to that kind of a fantasy that you're playing. And here, I think it is interesting to note that there isn't a maximum amount of die that you can use like the paladin has. I think you could look at that as balance between the extra attack feature that the paladin naturally gets. But if you really were going for it, if you were using that primordial fury, you can make another attack as a bonus action. So these are just some of the things that I would want to see in playtest. I love the concept of this subclass completely. I do wonder if that's going to be a little overpowered. I can't help but just I just want to see it in action, because I could totally be wrong. But like, but the biggest thing to me is that you're a primary spellcaster, so you're just gonna have a ton of slots to just go nuts with.
It's true. Who knows? Maybe this will be the best Gish.
Probably would be the best Gish.
Wow, that's a game changer. All right,
Yep.
I don't want to waste too much time thinking about that, but that's wild. Level 10, Wasteland Survivor. When you reach 10th level, as part of a short or long rest, you can perform a 1-hour ceremony to attune yourself to the Wasteland's harsh conditions. You choose a number of creatures equal to your proficiency bonus to join in and gain the benefits. At the end of the hour, you and any participants gain the following benefits for the next 8 hours while not wearing heavy armor. As an action, you may spend one of your hit dice, love that, to reduce your exhaustion level by 1. You can safely consume sand, gravel, or dirt in place of normal food or water. Difficult terrain does not slow your travel, and you ignore the effects of extreme heat and extreme cold. Once you use this ability, you cannot perform it again for another 24 hours. I really, really love that, because it's just like, you could tell what they're doing here is, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like the purpose, or at least of what we have seen and heard so far of this book as a whole, is like, hey, the exploration pillar is like, it's been forgotten in this, in this game that is everyone's second favorite edition.
Yeah, and if you look at a lot of the videos that WebDM has been releasing lately is about that pillar, which we also have a video on that, which, you know, I encourage you to watch that. But this is easily something that would be extraordinarily useful in the exploration pillar, which a druid should be. If you're in it, if you're being led by a druid through some kind of a wasteland like this, of course you're going to be better at it than just some average group that's going through. That should be a major thing, and the only resource that it expends is its own. Like, it's not like you have to cast a spell to like cast Pass Without a Trace or something like that. Like, no, I'm a druid. I'm awesome at this. Follow me. I know the way.
Yeah, I love this, and even this makes me even more. I mean, you know, I was already excited for the ranger subclass, of course.
Well, yeah,
I'm contractually obligated to be excited for any ranger.
Of course you are. Just like I need to be for my bard and my wizard. I get it.
But like, seeing an ability like this just gets me even more excited to see what they have in store for, you know, rangers.
I know. So I feel like if somebody was going to say like, and if you don't like this subclass, you can eat rocks.
Yeah.
It's like, you'd be fine, actually, if you did in this case.
If you do like this subclass, you could eat rocks.
Right, exactly. But then we go over here to Wasteland Avenger. And starting at 14th level, whenever you are in your Primordial Fury and expend a spell slot as part of the Elemental Scouring, I'll say, you can choose to deal damage to one additional creature you can see within 30 feet of your target. That additional target must attempt a dex save, equal, of course, to your spell save DC, and then they would take the damage that you dealt. So if you chose cold damage or acid damage, it would be cold or acid, whichever one you chose. And of course, half as much on a successful save, so it's not just guaranteed. So it's basically smite one. It's like a buy one, get one deal when it comes to your spell slots. So this is
That's nice.
That's a fun little capstone. And I really like that this is a capstone for me that feels like something I want to get to.
Yes.
But if I was interested in multi-classing, I feel like the benefits of that would not necessarily make me feel like I'm missing too much here. And I don't know if that was an intentional design point by WebDM here, but I like when those capstone abilities are something that you do want, but if it doesn't fit your character concept quite the way you want, you're not gonna have that FOMO, like just smacking you in the face.
Now we get to scroll past the wonderful, wonderful artwork.
It's so metal.
It is very metal. Like,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I've seen that on a t-shirt in high school. Like, you know,
Yeah. Here we're coming.
like I think my brother probably had that t-shirt actually and he wore tan cargo shorts or camo cargo shorts.
There you go.
Yep. And this brings us to creatures of the wasteland, the Magicore. A bulky, monstrous feline with a humanoid face grins with a tooth-filled maw that stretches from ear to ear. Patches of spots on its fur form vaguely arcane glyphs, and its sleek-scaled tail ends in a fanned cluster of barbed spines. This just looks fun. There's a lot of stuff I like about this, but
Absolutely. I like that they have a profile for you to use if you want.
yes,
Because, like, just why not use the personality ideals, bonds, and flaw? why not just use that? And they would be the very first people to say, if you don't like it, don't use it. Use something else.
absolutely.
But it's there if you want to.
Yeah, it's incredible to have something like this, and this is something like I hope. I mean, I guess not every monster needs that, but like I hope that more of the monsters they give us have something like this, because this is really cool, and I especially love that there's a legend written in there, because whether the
Absolutely.
legend is something everyone knows or it's something that you might be able to tell to your players if they go to, if they go to that tavern and talk to that one crazy guy at the bar, or like whoever,
Yeah.
they're rewarded with this story. Like I love that.
Oh, yeah. That's just immersion building. And anytime you can do that in your games, the players get more invested. You get more invested because the players are more invested. It's awesome.
And one thing I thought was really cool that they added here was the tactics, and that's like that kind of takes you back to what 4E with tactics for
It's
monsters.
just I was just about to say, I loved how they would give you like sample, like say you just looked up the orcs section or kobolds or whatever, you would have like sample encounters for different difficulty levels, and like it wouldn't just be like, oh, it's 5 of this same thing. It would be like 3 skirmishers, an archer, a 2 frontline kobolds. I think they had the dragon shield who was like their tank, and then there'd be like a controller guy in the back, and then it would say like the controller is trying to do X, Y, or Z, so this is how they fight together. And now all of a sudden you have a framework as to how to approach this combat, and I
Yeah.
loved that, and they broke it out in difficulty levels for you.
Yep. And
WebDM, you're just showing off at this point.
and the harder tactic, they made another monster, which is like they're saying give the Magicore some minions of Man Tiger, which is that wingless Manticore, and use the Lion Stat Block with those alterations.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's it's fantastic. What more can I say? It's great. I love it.
It's amazing. And of course now you got your stat blocks here, which we got a CR4. You're not talking about like some kind of ancient dragon that, in order to have these legendary actions, which you can see here, this can be a tier 1 boss that you have for your party to fight. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Much needed.
It really is. So many of the interesting mechanics get wasted on CR20s, which most parties don't even fight. So it's very cool to see, something as simple as the Magicore moves up to half its speed. And then something as interesting as it chooses one spell affecting it and consumes that.
Oop, done. It's got counterspell, basically.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah, so the thing that I this meets a need, because when we did Dragon of Icespire Peak, it was just a party of 3, but wanted to give Cryovane more because I was like, well, you guys are level 7. It's a CR6. Like that doesn't. You're gonna just roll right over this nerd. Like I gotta do something else to him. And I came up with some stuff, and I think it ended up being a fun fight. But anything that can cut down on prep time is a good thing.
I like that as a reaction too. So reactive consumption as a reaction when the Magicore is a target of a spell or can see the caster. It consumes the spell if it is a 3rd level or lower, causing it to fail. If it's 4th level or higher, Magicore must attempt a Constitution ability check.
Yeah.
DC is 8 plus the spell's level, and on a success, the spell fails and the Magicore consumes it. Give me more reactions. Give me more legendary actions.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see it. More shunts.
Martians, yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna make a portions joke, and then Martians just made me laugh.
Exactly.
That was it.
Yeah, it's based off the Manticore clearly,
Mhm.
but it's got the multi attack has 3 attacks, always fun, and then it's got its tail spikes, and it's got a suppressing roar. This is just fun. Like I want to fight and or run a Magicore fight.
Yeah, this is one of those monsters that I feel like there's some monsters that are fun to fight and some monsters that are fun to run. Not a lot of monsters that are both. And this is one that is both.
Now, if only we had a fun environment to run a fight like this.
We're gonna pass my favorite piece of artwork on the way down there too.
Oh ho ho ho.
This thing
Magicore.
is so cool.
Look at this. You see
So
it's like
cool.
it's glowing with the magic that it eats.
Yeah, that one's awesome.
Yeah.
Toxic alchemical slump.
It's not a slump,
Yes.
Josh. It's a sump.
Did I say slump?
It's not like it's having a rough patch here. It's like, man, the Magicore's been in a slump lately. He can't hit the party.
Did I say slump?
He did.
Oh man. So we have the toxic alchemical sump, and we'll read the little flavor text here. Nestled amid craggy rocks and rusting scrap are pools of magical sludge which give off sharp, acrid smelling fumes. Brightly colored moss and lichen blanket the rocks, and seemingly metallic grasses cluster around the edges of the pools. There's barely audible, incessant droning coming from somewhere.
I love
I like
that.
It's
Yeah.
fun because it's like it gives you information on the setting and it also hooks you in with that last sentence. There is a
Yep.
barely audible, incessant droning coming from somewhere. Because you tell your players that they're gonna focus on that.
Like, where is that?
You don't
What
really
is that? Yeah.
It's one of those things that like you don't really have to explain it further. You could let them investigate. They might never find out what it is.
Let their
And
imagination run wild.
oh, absolutely. And that's going to be memorable too. Like that, just that one sentence there makes this entire location memorable. Even if nothing else jumps out at you, your
Yeah.
players are going to remember it because you told them that. They're like, what was that droning? What
I
was
haven't
that
really
sound?"
read this section yet, but I almost like imagine some kind of quieter, mutated cicadas kind of doing its thing.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? Like, but it's maybe just feels like it's far, but yet also somewhere right around you, and you're like, I don't understand.
It's like wherever you are, it still sounds like it's that same distance away.
Yeah, like
It's like
why is this
you
a
try to
thing?
move closer to it, and it still sounds like
Nah.
the same.
Yep.
So they give you a whole background, like a few paragraphs on a background of it, which is pretty interesting. There's a lot of good information there.
Mm-hmm.
They go through the terrain, which is rocky outcroppings that count as difficult terrain. Boulders in the area can grant half cover or total cover. I think that's important to note. It's nice that they throw that in there. Ability checks made to find footprints or tracks in the sludge-soaked sand are rolled with advantage. Fumes from the sludge pools create a haze of light obscurement over the area.
Love
It's
that.
cool. There's a consistent theme here of they're giving you tools, even just in this tidbit of the book. They're giving you tools for the exploration pillar, like difficult terrain, boulders grant half cover, ability checks made to find footprints in sludge-soaked sand are rolled with advantage. These are specific things that are important to this area that, you know, anytime you're exploring here, it's going to be important to note this. Like, I could very easily see if they didn't throw that in there, DM's just going to do whatever. They're not going to think about things like that, even if it has in the flavor text that like it's sludge soaked and that kind of thing. They're not going to think about that. They're just going to do their thing. But they have this here, and it's almost like a cheat sheet.
Yeah, and how simple is this? It's just 4 little bullet points. It does so much to the believability of this fantasy fake world that you're making, and it's gonna feel real that you're in it. And that's, as a DM, anytime you can increase immersion, you're in good shape. So they also have some special features here. So if you want to flesh out some gameplay elements of this environment, the toxic alchemical sump, you know, you've got, hey, there's a bunch of alchemical pools here. It's got mechanics for falling in. It's got how the fumes that might be billowing out of these pools might affect you. Again, that's just one thing here for the alchemical pools. We're going to scroll past some more beautiful artwork. Lets you see what the sump would look like, which is, again, I'm not sure who the artist is. I'm sure we could look it out on their Twitter.
Yeah, I was just wondering that myself.
You know, you got sludge harvesting. Wow, if you want to harvest some of this and put it in your, you know, use it as like a material component for your spells, that could be cool. It gives you mechanics on how to do that. I mean, you know, it's got toxic waste. You know, if you touch this stuff, you know, you don't know what lives in there. You might get a disease. Oh, look at that. There's 6 diseases.
Oh, and they all sound, the first one sounds so much worse than any of the other ones. Honestly, it's just
like, oh man, got a nasty case of homunculus rash.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
What would be like
you know, I'm just doubling over in pain as my skin begins to fester and boil, forming cysts which burst open to reveal tiny versions of myself. Yeah, that's fine.
This, I don't know if this feels a little bit like Army of Darkness. I don't know if you ever saw that movie, Josh, but like, it was in the early 90s. It was like the sequel to, I think it was Evil Dead or Night of the Evil Dead. And it's that first one was more serious and this was more spoofy. And there was a thing where these little versions of this guy came, like, was running all around him, and it was a fun scene.
It sounds like a sequel to a horror movie.
Yeah, it was a fun one. So, and I'm not much younger than, you know, Jim and Pruitt, and so feels like a movie they probably would have seen and used for inspiration. But yeah, like, what would you use to cure homunculus rash? I don't know if calamine lotion's gonna do the job. But you also have extrasensory stupor. Your vision goes blank and you lose control of your motor functions as a continual stream of visions parades through your mind.
And if you don't have that, you know, just explosive elemental imbalance, your skin glows with.
I'm so happy it said imbalance and not something else. Yikes. That's all I have to say about that.
There's a light pulses erratically within you. A surging charge of elemental power builds towards an explosive crescendo with each flash of light.
Oh my god.
Target sheds bright light in a 30-foot radius, gains a pool of 10d6 damage dice that represent the elemental energy within. At the end of an hour, the target combusts in a 20-foot radius sphere centered on it. Each creature in the area of the combustion must attempt a DC 15 dex save, taking 10d6 fire, lightning, and radiant damage.
And
on a failure?
That's the end.
Oh my god.
So you're taking,
I was expecting the or, and then it was
30
end.
d6.
Oh my god. And the affected target automatically fails. So that's fun.
Makes sense if it's coming out of you. There's not much you can do about it. And of course you've got arcane paroxysm. Paroxysm. Arcane Paroxysm.
Can you guys let us know how that's pronounced just by typing it below?
Yeah. Yep, it's
Just
right here.
spell it out in the
I'll
comments.
highlight it so that I'll give you a second. Just type that in.
Yeah.
Comment section. You break out in a cold sweat, becoming jittery and jumpy as your mind races with incoherent fragments of spell incantations. The target replaces a random known or prepared spell with Arcane Paroxysm, a parasitic spell. If the target knows its spells, this replacement is temporary, and its chosen spells return when the contagion ends. Creatures who lack the ability to cast spells are unaffected by this. Interesting. Whenever the target attempts to cast a spell using a spell slot, it must attempt a charisma save versus its own spell save. On a success, it does the spell as normal, and Arcane Paroxysm replaces another known or prepared spell.
So all spellcasters within 30 feet of you must succeed on a con saving throw or contract that same disease.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
You have to quarantine your spellcasters.
There's a campaign there. Just infect a couple people, throw them into the Mages Guild.
Yeah.
And then send in a bunch of martial fighters to take it down.
That's how they would have to do it. I feel like they did a 2-video series, WebDM did, on fighting dirty. I feel like this is right in that lane.
Yes, it is.
Right in that lane. Like, hey, I'm going to take away your spells for the day.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah, you got your party of clerics, the Amen. Yeah. Well, how about this?
The Amen.
They're all sick now.
Gosh, if that doesn't do it, what else do we have?
We have necromorphic fever.
That sounds.
You take on a sickly pallor and become lethargic, emitting a faint greenish white glow when in darkness.
You're a glow stick.
Essentially, yeah. Oh my goodness. If the target is reduced to 0 hit points while affected by this, it dies, reanimating as a ghoul at the next midnight.
Oh, there you go.
Wow. It ends on a long rest, or if you submerge your entire body, in holy water for a minute.
I love that I love when things have another way. So, like, you know, if your party has Greater Restoration, I'm like, just slap Greater Restoration, or I guess this would count as a disease, so Lesser Restoration on it. You'll be fine. Don't worry about it. You know, an interesting little mechanic that just came to mind. I feel like if you wanted to, you know, fight dirty, as they encourage, I feel like some of these restoration spells, you could make the spellcaster roll an ability check, kind of like similar to the counter spell or dispel magic might work.
Crystalline aches. Your joints stiffen even with the slightest movement, causing increasing levels of pain. Pressure builds within your bones. I think that's just called arthritis.
Yeah, it's called being 40. I mean, wait, what?
Called being 26, honestly.
You stop it.
Your target moves with great difficulty and its speed is halved. Additionally, for every 5 feet it moves using its own speed, target takes piercing damage equal to its dexterity modifier as the blood red crystal break through its skin. If the damage reduces the target to 0 points, fully crystallizes and becomes petrified. It ends at the end of the target's next long rest. Wow.
Whew.
That's brutal.
And we've also got Haunted Winds. But yes, those are all brutal. Kudos to you. I'm not sure. I'm sure it was a combination of, you know, Jim Pruitt and Emma working on stuff like that. But
Absolutely.
Kudos to you.
It's nice. I love such creative minds that, like, yeah, that's just, I'm very excited for the rest of this book. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah, this is just a preview. We'll just mention that this is a preview that they are giving away for free. Again, link in the doobly doo. There's going to be an entire book of this. This is a Kickstarter you want to support.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've got the Haunted Winds. Invisible, disembodied air elementals inhabit the air around the pools and haunt this location. They are bound to the elemental core of the airship entombed under the sands and cannot leave. That sounds a little bit like our Banshee that we just reviewed.
It does. Yeah.
The elementals control the wind in the area and can choose to use their abilities to clear fumes from the region, mimic speech, or create gusts of wind.
All right.
Mimic speech, yes.
Haunted winds can create gusts of winds.
That makes sense. That tracks.
Yeah.
Mimic speech.
Yeah, that could if you separate the party, if you split the
Oh
party.
yeah. Oh yeah. Especially if they're trying to, you got spellcasters trying to quarantine and not be next to each other. Boom. You say something? No.
I like how they have rules for communicating with the elementals, so they can communicate in common or primordial using the wind as their voice. The party attempts to speak to them. Once contact is made, the elementals demand interesting stories, thunderous noises, exotic smells, and ritual burning of the spellbook or scroll. If the characters acquiesce to their demands, the elementals are impressed and willing to answer questions about the area and local inhabitants. Kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, also harass visitors.
I mean, yeah.
Kind of makes sense.
They can't leave. They're stuck here. Come play with me.
We have a buried airship, elemental airship that crashed long ago. Long ago. That's Samurai Jack.
You could use this easily, especially if you're using some kind of like technology that might have been powered by magic or maybe some kind of dystopian world. This is going to fit very easily into any of those games. Mechanics for the concealed passages, airship interior, just like they have been throughout this entire thing. And then next up is
the Lair.
The Magicore's Lair, which is equipped with lair actions as well.
Fantastic. It's so great.
Lair actions are always that one little extra thing that I feel like the party's like, oh, I figured it'd have legendary actions and all that stuff, but yep, the lair should have something too, huh? I feel like they get baked into the CR or not. Yeah. I don't know, but
I think usually in like the 5e monster manual books, like they say if you're using the lair, if it's in its lair, it adds like 1 or 2 to the CR.
Yeah,
but not that CR is real or matters.
If you know, you know.
Noxious fumes billow out from the pools. Any creature within 10 feet of a sludge pool must succeed on a DC 12 con save or be incapacitated, coughing till the end of its next turn. Strong winds swirl around the Magicore in a 15-foot radius and move with it until the end of its next turn. Considered difficult terrain for creatures other than the Magicore. And creatures that start its turn in the area or move into it must succeed on a DC 12 strength or athletics ability check or fall prone. And then last one is the Magicore's claws and tail spikes crackle with electricity. Until the end of its next turn, Magicore adds 3d6 lightning, or 3 or 1d6 lightning damage to its claws and tail spikes. And any creature hit by them cannot take reactions until the start of their next turn.
That's going to be fun to add to an encounter.
That is. And then they have a list of encounters here too for and a D8 table for encounters in the toxic alchemical sump.
Equipped with basic difficulty here: medium, deadly, hard, easy.
Yeah,
that's good. You got the Great Ooze, Stalking Giggler. Oh, it's got suggested changes too. I love that. Tomb Golem, the Magicore, of course. Dust Mephits. Oh, Mephits. Write that down in the comment section. Tell us how you pronounce it. We got the Wastelander, I almost said cannabis. Wastelander Cannibals. our Canotech, Magus, and Retinue. Yeah, Reavers. This is great.
Yeah. And then after all that, they give you suggested rewards. Experience for every specific thing. So successfully dredging an object from the pools, finding the airship interior, surviving an entire night in the area, befriending the elementals, freeing the elementals, delivering the intact elemental core to Lagrin Tongue, rules for harvesting, salvaging, treasure that you could find in there, and a list of salvage you could find. And then they have a map for the encounter, rumor tables, location, like hooks and everything. Everything about this book just screams of detail. They you could tell how much work they put into this and how much they wanted this to be the 5e supplement.
And how much experience they have doing this too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
This is something that someone who's done this and knows the kinds of resources they want to have at their disposal. This is exactly what it should look like. It's
yeah. It really is. I mean, if the rest of the book is like this, this is going to be the greatest 5e supplement.
So now that we've looked at this first preview document, hey Josh, what do you say we throw it to future Jake and Josh, and we can look at the first 5 levels of the Scion class?
You know, like, I don't feel like talking about that right now. I don't feel equipped talking about that like right now, and it doesn't even exist yet. So I think future Jake and Josh are the perfect people to handle that project. Hey everybody, this is future Josh here. With me, as always, is future Jake, and we started talking about this class, and we realized that there is a lot of information here, and we kind of talked about it for a long time. We went in depth, but it's too much to throw in here. So if you want to watch that video, just I don't know, I guess maybe it'll be up there. I think it'll be up there. But anyway, I'm just gonna pass it back to past Josh and past Jake. So see you on the next one.
So it's Back to the Past? That's like a weird movie.
Back to the Past. Well, I mean, that's pretty much what Back to the Future was.
But that's more like the second one.
All of them. The first one, he went to the past, and then he was trying to get back to the future. Second one, he went to the past again, same thing. Oh
Yeah.
no, the second one, he went to the future, and then he was trying to get back to the past.
But then he went to the past and then to the present, which is our gift to you, along with all of this bad puns and humor.
So everyone, please remember that this is not the greatest song in the world. No, this is just a tribute. This is not the full book. This is just a preview. It's free. It's available out there. We have the link in the doobly-doo, as we've said a few times in the video. It'll be in the comments and the description. And there's just been so much great information in here, whether it's the actual location information, the monsters, and I do mean monsters plural because there's more than one. There's one big bad, but there's more than one. And the subclass, like they did such a great job here. And looking at this, like I've been a web demon for a long time. I've been a patron for a long time, and I've heard them talk about how 5e books, they're not necessarily exactly written the way they want to be, and like the format's not exactly how they want it to be. And 5e is when I started playing the game. It's how I learned to play the game. So I didn't totally follow or necessarily know what they meant by that, or how it should be written. Now I know what they're talking about. Now I know how it should be written, and it's this.
Yeah, I love the format that they chose here for multiple reasons, but I think that the biggest one for me is just how easy it is to take this environment and plop it into any game, whether you're playing in a wild mount game like Josh and I do on Sunday nights for Rare Drop Roleplay. If you're, in your own homebrew world, or you're just on another plane of existence, maybe you make up your own plane of existence and it's this toxic wasteland or whatever you got going on. However, this is the way this is going. It's not just like another adventure or campaign guide, which of course you can cherry pick those things and place them in your games and adapt them however you like. Be creative with it. This just comes pre-packaged and it's right there. It's right there. It's just good job, WebDM. We are very proud to make this video and support you and the hard work that you have done. And this is something that I'm really looking forward to. The only thing I have to figure out now is which tier to support on, because they've got a lot of fun stuff. You make sure you check out that link for their Kickstarter. Like Josh said, it's going to be in the description and the comments.
And even if you don't like the idea behind like the wasteland, like that kind of thing, there's still so much you could pull from this.
And they got more coming.
Oh well, yeah, more coming, absolutely. But like even just from this right here, like if it follows this, it gives you a perfect example of how to make tables for like specific encounters and environments, for treasure, for like rumors and stuff like that, for the sludge pools and their harvesting rules and that kind of stuff. Like there's so much more to pull from this than just the surface level. I did a video a couple of weeks back that was like a practical kind of version of like me making an adventure using some of the things we've talked about before. This is like WebDM's practical, like, hey, you know how we've been giving you advice for what, 5 years, 6 years now, something like that. You know, we've been giving you like all these tips and tidbits for like all these years. Yeah, here's exactly what that looks like. And you know, if you're not a great listener, if that's not the easiest way for you to learn, just read this, look at how we did this,
Yeah.
and there it is.
Having the example like this can be very powerful because you can just take this and run with it for the rest of your games. And just the preview alone is
From the bottom of our hearts, Pruitt, Emma, Jim, the rest of the WebDM team, even Travis, like, we appreciate you all so much, and thank you for all the hard work you put into this and that you're still putting into this. Thank you for the years of tips and advice and all the fun stuff that you got, all the great content and the puns. You know, clearly we appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, love the puns. Pruitt is the pun father himself. I love it.
Yes. From both of us here at JNJtabletop, we hope that you have a fantastic day or evening or morning or whatever time you're watching this. So take it easy, be excellent to each other, and we'll see you on the next one. And stick around for the outro because it's some more fun.
Oh yeah, Jim. Something feels weird. Did you get a haircut or something?
Yeah. I got a haircut. I did. Something seems off with you too. Did you maybe get contacts? Did you get contacts?
No, I didn't get contacts, but I have to admit I don't feel quite like myself. Something's a little off today.
Yeah. I feel a little off too. I feel almost kind of like when I was getting my master's in Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh right, yeah. I'm sure you played a lot of D&D during that time.
Oh yeah. We played everybody's second favorite edition. You know, just and some other stuff, just some tidbits of other stuff as well.
Tidbits. So many tidbits.
Hey, how's your character Abaddon?